Welcome back to the channel. Tune in or ghost out. Today, let's talk about how America benefits and gains use out of useful idiots. What is a useful idiot? Well, it's somebody that supports a cause that doesn't understand how repressive that cause is for them. While I can't for sure tell you that this phrase was coined by Lenin, he was the first one to really use it, coining the term to make fun of the Westerners who supported the Soviet Union because their protection and promotion of socialism or communism was in direct opposition to their capitalist ideals. And that's why this term requires you to not really know much and is a phrase that many people would not attribute to themselves even though they practice all the things of being a useful idiot. A perfect example of this is Joe Rogan, the tallest comedian in Austin, Texas. With ideas about as good as his comedy special, it's no surprise that after he put his hat in the ring to get a person elected, he now is questioning everything he votes for. This is the life of a useful idiot. By the time you realize that you backed an idea that wasn't great to you, it's a little too late. And it's not like these things are hard to see, but you are really an idiot when you support things like this. You don't look to outside sources to tell you about the outcomes of these actions. You in your head think that, well, maybe this time will be different. But just like Lenin making fun of the Westerners that supported communism, I can't help but make fun of Joe Rogan who supported Trump. Like him or not, he pretty much ran on everything he said he was going to run on. So to be surprised that he's doing the things he promised is crazy. And to be surprised about the things that he's not doing is even crazier. Let's take Jeffrey Epstein, for example. Many people are surprised that Trump would use Jeffrey Epstein in the case to get him elected, but not pursue that case once elected, doing the most obvious thing anyone in his position would do, just like McCarthy did back during the Red Scare. When it was time for him to take action, he just pointed the finger at somebody else. Well, why should I expose Jeffrey when the Democrats had it first? Many people were surprised of the sudden pivot when he was telling people to not care about it and drop the story and you're not MAGA if you believe this. But again, this is what happens when you cultivate a following of useful idiots. Those pictures of him and Epstein, the interrogation audio of Epstein saying that him and Trump were best friends, how Mar-a-Lago was like a meeting place for them two. A lot of this information came from public, researchable articles. The benefit of having useful idiots following you is you don't really have to do anything in the dark. They can pivot and shift everything to make it seem good for you. Another great example about this is Myron Gaines. If you've heard about this guy, you know that he is just a walking contradiction. And I say that because he himself is a black man. He also has Sudanese descent. With this information, do you think that he would support somebody like a Hitler? Well, he does, and actually he likes Hitler. And you can tell this guy doesn't really think about anything. It's just a huge talking point on the right now, so he's jumping on board with it. But he went on to say that, yeah, we like Hitler and no one gives a F what you woke. I'm not saying that. Think anymore. Going on to say that he was a revolutionary leader and saved Germany. But again, useful idiot, because if you do any history, the only reason it seems like Hitler saved Germany was because it was in such a bad spot before he got into power. And instead of saving the country, all he really did was increase the amount of government spending and socialize most of the factories in the country, giving German workers jobs, yes, but also creating unsustainable levels of government spending, all the way up to the point of having to invade the Soviet Union for resources. And that line about the Jews starting the war on Germany first, not true. Germany literally invaded Poland first. But none of that really matters because Myron Gaines, a black man with Sudanese descent, would not be alive if Hitler won today. We are talking about a leader who literally sterilized people who were not Aryan. We are also talking about a leader who believed in taking from people of other races to give back to his people. So Myron Gaines, this famous commentator, would not be able to speak, and if he did make money or create something, he would not be able to own it. A useful idiot will shoot themselves in the foot to prove that what they believe is correct. And you know what? It's not just people on the right. I know it's easy to dunk on them because they're in power, but essentially our entire political system requires you to be a useful idiot to even participate. Both sides will call you out if you say that both sides are stupid. If you don't agree with their idea, then you're automatically wrong, even if you're not on the other side. Many people will call this a cult, but yeah, cults are filled with those people too. It's funny because this term was used to make fun of like super liberal people who thought the Soviets had a good ideal of how things work. You know, socialized healthcare and benefits and a huge social safety net. But just like anything, it's not really the ideas, it's how far you go into the ideas. Socializing some parts of the world might make sense, like police, firefighters, the people who build our roads and like what pays for the roads. But lean too far into socialism, you start abolishing private property rights, forcing people to work, and giving the government power to decide how much you deserve. If you don't open your eyes up to the issues, then it all sounds like a good thing. It's like being a cult member that never questions the leader or the ideas passed on to you. And if I ruffled any feathers about the Hitler comments, I'm not going to support him on this channel, and I'm not going to give you points to support him. I just will never back somebody who was killed killing his own citizens for defeatism, even though he put him in a war that was unwinnable and didn't even have the balls to fall with his regime. But that's also another thing that useful idiots love to utilize, and that's revisionist history. It's when people take real facts about what actually happened, but paint it in a different light to give a different message. This plays a huge part into being a useful idiot. Students at college campuses will fall in love with Marxism or socialism because of what they hear, but they don't really hear the consequences. Just like how some people will defend Hitler's want for an ethno-state, but then bring him up to counter the fact that Israel is working towards an ethno-state. It can't be okay when you support it and bad when you don't. Again, even though it's pretty obvious to see who a useful idiot is or what makes them be that type of way, everything I'm saying in this video probably will not matter in the long run because it requires a very huge echo chamber to fall deep into this ideology. If you are doing it for the benefit of yourself, you will quickly realize that some of the things that you support go against what you actually want. But being so deep in the rabbit hole will have you justifying some of the most absurd shit just to continue on the bandwagon. And this is where people like Myron Gaines, Joe Rogan, people on the left that supported Joe Biden and Kamala Harris actually have a lot in common. Their dislike for each other and want to be right and how easy they are to be manipulated allow people to come in and use the power for bad. Look at the Democratic Party right now. They're backing Gavin Newsom, who has been a pretty shitty governor for California, but because of Trump, he's able to rewrite everything he did during COVID just to be his opposition. Again, the world starts looking more like an idiocracy the more idiotic we become. If you don't believe me, just look around you. We're actually worse off than the movie Idiocracy because they at least had enough faith to trust the person that was smarter than them. In today's time, we'd find somebody with the answers and look at them like they were crazy. Just because it might not align with everything we believe in, I'm not telling you to change your views or believe something completely different. I'm telling you just to be well educated in what you believe. A useful idiot is able to be created because usually people don't know the history or what's actually going on. So educate yourself and read. Don't just go off what a podcast bro says, or don't even believe someone you trust without verifying what they said. Blind trust is what makes you easy to manipulate. This is what takes the power away from the American people. It's not the Jews, it's not the Muslims, it's not the blacks, it's not the whites. It's a group of people, usually men, who are obsessed with power and think that they know how you should live your life. You don't have to be a fence sitter or a centrist, but you do have to be well educated to participate in a system. And I think that we lack a lot of that. But what do I know? I'm an unemployed guy playing Call of Duty, saying my thoughts. If you agree or disagree, let me know down below in the comments. Can America break this habit of being useful idiots? If you haven't already, like and subscribe to join the thread. And with that being said, thank you for tuning in. Until next time.
Transmission complete. Signal terminating. This is Ghostthread, signing off.